back to the deep dive. It's week 18 of the 2025 Bluewater Auto Restoration Podcast. We're diving into a world that's both challenging and incredibly rewarding. Classic and vintage car parts. Imagine, you're bringing back to life a 1928 Rolls-Royce. You've got the vision, the passion, but what about the parts? Finding those missing pieces can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack, especially when those needles are, decades old.
That's a great way to put it. And you've touched on something that's really key here, the distinction between vintage and classic cars. It's easy to use those terms interchangeably, but they actually refer to distinct periods in automotive history.
Right. I've definitely been guilty of that. So let's break it down. What makes a car vintage versus classic?
Well, think of vintage cars as those elegant machines built between 1919 and 1930. They really showcase the post-World War I boom in car design and engineering. You often see intricate metalwork, handcrafted components, and the use of materials like brass, wood, and leather.
Vintage cars are all about that early 20th century craftsmanship, those hand-built beauties with a ton of character. What about classic cars then?
Classic cars cast a wider net. They're generally defined as being at least 20 to 25 years old. And they capture a specific period of automotive history, whether it's the iconic design of a Ford Mustang or the raw power of a Chevrolet Corvette.
Okay, I'm starting to get a clearer picture now. So whether we're talking about a vintage Rolls-Royce or a classic muscle car, finding authentic parts for these vehicles can be incredibly tough. What are some of the biggest roadblocks enthusiasts face in this process?
Let's start with the most obvious one, scarcity. Original parts for these older cars are often simply out of production. You can't just walk into your local auto parts store and expect to find a carburetor for a 1928 Bentley.
I imagine that could be incredibly frustrating, especially when you're so close to finishing a restoration. Where do people even begin to look for these rare parts?
It becomes a bit of a treasure hunt. Specialty vendors and collectors become your go-to resources. They often have those hard-to-find parts, but be prepared to pay a premium for them.
So it's like an exclusive club for those who are truly dedicated to keeping these classic cars on the road.
Exactly. But even if you manage to track down that elusive part, there's no guarantee it'll be in pristine condition, right? We're talking about decades of wear and tear, exposure to the elements, maybe even past accidents.
That's a great point. So you might find the part you need, but it could be rusted, corroded, or who knows what else. Yeah. That's got to add another layer of complexity to the restoration process.
It definitely does. And then there's the issue of compatibility. Cars built 50 or 100 years ago weren't exactly designed with modern standards in mind. So even if you find a part that looks right, it might not fit or function properly without some serious modification.
I hadn't really thought about that. So even if a part looks like it should work, you might need to become a bit of a mechanic yourself to make it fit.
You might. And it gets even trickier when you consider that many classic and vintage cars have been modified over the years. Whether it was for performance or aesthetics, or just to keep them running, those modifications can make finding compatible parts feel like solving a complex puzzle.
So we've got scarcity, condition issues, and compatibility nightmares. It sounds like restoring a classic car is not for the faint of heart. Is there a way to overcome these part sourcing challenges without sacrificing authenticity?
That's where things get really interesting. The solution that's changing the game for classic car restoration is custom machining. It's all about using advanced technologies to create parts that are virtually identical to the originals.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more about how this custom machining works and why it's such a game changer.
It starts with incredibly precise replication. We're talking about using technologies like CNC machining. That stands for computer numerical control, and even 3D printing. These techniques can recreate parts down to the smallest detail, ensuring they match the originals perfectly.
So you're essentially creating brand new parts that look and function just like the ones that came off the assembly line decades ago.
Exactly. But it goes beyond just replication. One of the most exciting aspects of custom machining is that it allows us to use modern materials that can actually improve the durability and performance of the part.
Wait, so you can have a classic car part that's potentially better than the original while still maintaining that authentic look and feel. That's incredible.
It is. We're not limited to the materials or manufacturing processes of the past. We can take advantage of advancements in materials science to create parts that are stronger, lighter, and more resistant to wear and tear.
So it's like having the best of both worlds, the classic aesthetic with modern-day performance. But I have to ask, wouldn't custom machining be incredibly expensive?
It's definitely an investment. But when you factor in the cost of hunting down those rare original parts and the potential headaches of dealing with parts in unknown condition, custom machining often becomes a more cost-effective solution, especially in the long run. And that's especially true if you need multiple parts or are a parts supplier.
Plus, there's a certain peace of mind that comes with knowing you have a brand new, perfectly crafted part that's built to last. It takes the guesswork out of the restoration process.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the flexibility custom machining offers. If you need to make slight modifications to a part, maybe to accommodate past upgrades or to enhance performance, custom machining gives you that freedom.
So it sounds like custom machining is a pretty powerful tool in the classic car enthusiast's arsenal. But let's say someone listening is convinced this is the way to go. How do you even find the right partner for this kind of specialized work? What are the key things to look for?
Choosing the right machining partner is crucial. You're entrusting them with a piece of automotive history, so you want to make sure they have the expertise, the technology, and the commitment to quality to do the job right.
I can imagine it's not a decision to be taken lightly. What are some of the top criteria people should consider?
First and foremost, look for experience, specifically with vintage and classic cars. They need to understand the nuances of these vehicles, the materials used, and the challenges involved in replicating often intricate parts.
So it's not just about finding a generic machine shop. You need someone who specializes in this niche.
Exactly. A shop that focuses on custom machining for older cars will have a portfolio of past projects that demonstrate their skills. Don't be shy about asking to see examples of their work and requesting references from previous clients.
It's like checking the credentials of a surgeon. You want to make sure they know what they're doing before you let them operate on your beloved classic car.
You could say that. And beyond experience, you want to make sure they have the right technology. State-of-the-art CNC machines are a must. And if you're considering 3D printing for certain parts, ask about their experience with that as well.
It sounds like the right tools and machinery make all the difference in achieving that level of precision needed for classic car parts.
Absolutely. But just having the right equipment isn't enough. Look for a partner who prioritizes quality. Ask about their quality control processes, how they ensure parts meet exact specifications, and what kind of testing procedures they have in place.
So we're looking for a partner who's not just technically skilled, but also has a meticulous eye for detail and a commitment to delivering the highest quality work.
That's a great way to put it. And never underestimate the importance of good communication. Restorations can be complex and have unexpected twists and turns. You need a partner who is responsive, keeps you in the loop, and is willing to work through any challenges that might pop up.
That makes perfect sense. Finding a partner who is easy to work with, communicates clearly, and is genuinely invested in your project can make a world of difference.
It really can. It's a collaborative process, and you want to feel confident you're working with a team that gets your vision.
Okay, so let's say you've found that perfect machining partner, you've checked their experience, technology, and you feel good about their commitment to quality and communication. What are the actual steps involved in creating a custom part for your classic car? How does that process unfold?
Great question. It all starts with a thorough assessment and planning phase. Your machining partner will carefully examine the existing part that needs to be replicated. If it's missing entirely, they'll work with you to understand its function, dimensions, and any special requirements.
So it begins with a deep understanding of the part itself. Whether it's a simple bracket or a complex engine component, they need to get the blueprint right.
You got it. And this initial phase also involves figuring out the best materials for the job. They'll consider the original material composition, how the part will be used, and whether there are opportunities to use modern materials that offer superior properties.
It's like choosing the right ingredients for a recipe. You want the final product to be both authentic and delicious.
Perfect analogy. Once the planning and material selection are done, the actual machining process begins. Depending on the complexity of the part, this might involve a combination of techniques, from CNC milling and turning to 3D printing for especially intricate designs.
And this is where those advanced technologies really shine, allowing for that incredibly precise and efficient fabrication.
Exactly. But the process doesn't end there. Every custom part goes through rigorous quality control and testing to make absolutely sure it meets the exact specifications and performs flawlessly.
So it's not just about making a part that looks right. It also has to function perfectly under real-world conditions.
Absolutely. That might involve dimensional inspections using precision measuring tools or even functional tests to simulate the stresses and strains a part will experience in the car.
It's like putting the part through a boot camp before it ever hits the road.
You could say that. And this commitment to quality control ensures that the final product is not only a faithful reproduction, but also a reliable, high-performance component that will enhance your classic car restoration.
Wow, this has been incredibly insightful. I'm starting to see how custom machining can really empower enthusiasts to overcome those seemingly impossible part sourcing challenges.
It really can be a game changer. It allows you to maintain the authenticity of your vehicle while also benefiting from the incredible advancements in materials and manufacturing we have today.
I'm definitely eager to learn more.
Let's continue our deep dive. So far, we've been talking about what custom machining is and why it's so important for classic car restoration. But you might be wondering what kinds of parts can actually be made using these techniques.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's easy to imagine, body panels or trim pieces being custom made. But what about those more complex mechanical parts? Can those be replicated too?
Absolutely. Custom machining can recreate an incredible range of parts. We're talking everything from engine components like pistons, rings, crankshafts, to essential brake parts like rotors, drums, and calipers.
Wow, so you could basically rebuild an entire engine or brake system using custom machine parts.
That's right. And it goes beyond those core systems. Think about the suspension system. Control arms, leaf springs, bushings. Those can all be custom machined as well. And of course, we can't forget about those iconic body panels that give a classic car its unique shape. Fenders, doors, hoods, those are all prime candidates for custom fabrication.
Sounds like if there's a part that needs replacing on a classic car, custom machining can probably handle it.
You got it. And here's where it gets even more interesting. You're not limited to just replicating the original parts. Let's say you want to upgrade your classic car's braking system for improved safety, or swap out those old drum brakes for modern disc brakes. Custom machining makes those upgrades possible.
So you can blend modern technology with classic aesthetics. That opens up a whole world of possibilities.
It does. And let's not forget about the interior. Custom